Hello, how y'all doing? My name is Phyllis, and I am about to do God Tells the Truth. So that's the name of my channel, God Tells the Truth. And if y'all love to come and check out my video, I would appreciate that very much. That y'all come and check it out. And before we get down to the nitty gritty about the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. That is what I'm finna tell you. So, before we get down to this, I need y'all to subscribe and hit the like button before we get down to the nitty gritty. Okay? So, I am grateful and thankful that y'all all are coming here to watch my video. Now, I'm all about the truth and nothing but the truth. Now, who all wants to come and listen to it, I'm grateful that you are here. The ones that don't want to listen to it, fine, you don't have to stay. But I would love for everybody to be there to listen to my video. So, I have some things to talk about that God want me to tell the truth about that happened to me in my past life when I started out very young. When I was young, when I first knew that I was chosen by the Lord. So, when I was young, and I used to live in the projects. I did. I used to live in the projects. And back in them days, that's when the buildings that, the old buildings they had back in the days, they was up. And they just recently, not too long, tore them down. So the buildings that I lived over there, where I used to stay in the projects, that's where I had my first tragedy and found out that God chose me. So when I was young, and I was like 5 years old, and I asked my mother, because she was in the house cooking, and she was cleaning chicken. And I went to my mother and I asked her, and I said, Mom, could I go outside? I was 5 years old. Because back then, the parents, they used to let us go outside and play with our kids, with our friends. And they knew that we would not go no other place. They knew we would stay in the playground and play in the playground. So she told me, yes, I can go down there. So I ran into one of my friends, but it was a boy. I ran into him, and we both was going downstairs to play. So back then, in them days, they did not have screens in the windows in the projects back then. So you can just like climb up at the window and look out the window when they didn't have no screens, which they should have had been putting screens in the window back then in the projects. So I told my friend, I told him to boost me up. So when he did boost me up, he boosted me up too far, and I went over the window. I went over, and I was about to hit the ground. But the crazy part about it, it's like God lifted me up in the air, made my dress fly open, because I had on the dress. My dress just flew open, and next thing you know, they had these crates in the grass where you can fall on. But what God did, he pushed me over from the crates and fell into the grass. So when I fell into the grass, I realized that I was down on the ground. So I had tried to get up, and I kept falling down. I tried to get up, but I kept falling down. So I think I had passed out. And next thing you know, I felt somebody picking me up and carrying me, running me to the hospital. So it was my father. Somebody must have went and told my family that I had fell out the window. And my father must have ran downstairs, and he picked me up, because he was not ready. He was not going to wait on the ambulance to come. He was not going to wait on that. He was not taking a chance on that. So what he did, he ran me to the hospital. And he ran me to the hospital where it was nothing but full of nuns working in this hospital. Nothing but full of nuns. And my mother and my father told me that, because I was only 5 years old, and they told me the story. And they told me that they didn't know what to do for me. These people could not do nothing for me. So my father said, and my mother said that out of nowhere, this doctor just came from nowhere and asked them what was the patient at. And they told him that I was in the recovery room, or probably in the I probably was in the an emergency room, because they were still working on me. So I was in the emergency room. And they told this doctor that they couldn't do nothing for me. And this doctor said, well, let me take over. I can save her. So this doctor started working on me and everything, taking care of me and everything. And my mother and my father said I was a miracle, because they couldn't believe that this doctor just came from nowhere and saved my life. Just saved my life. And they said that when they got ready to thank this doctor, the doctor had disappeared. They couldn't even get to thank the doctor for saving my life. The doctor just vanished, and they never got a chance to say nothing to this doctor. So I think that was God that have sent somebody from heaven to save my life. That's what I think God had did. Jesus, Father, and the Holy Ghost. I think they did that. So that's why I'm here to tell this story. So yes, that's what happened to me. And I am so grateful and thankful that they brought me back to tell this story to y'all, because y'all don't know the things that God can do to save people. I mean, like literally save people's lives. He really does. If you just put your faith and trust in God, believe me, the things that he can do, he can really do. And this is the honest to God truth. Yes. So let me tell you some other things that he have done to save my life. So I did not know that I had cancer in my breast. So the hospital kept telling me to go take tests, but I figured that it wasn't nothing wrong with me, because I didn't have no pains. I didn't feel nothing going on with me, nothing at all. And it's like God told me, he said, go to the doctor. And because I didn't have no symptoms, but he told me to go to the doctor. So when I got up, I made an appointment and I went to the doctor. So when I went to the doctor, they told me I had cancer in my left breast. And I was so overwhelmed over it, because this is the first time I ever went through something like this. And God was guiding me all through it, but letting me know that everything gonna be okay. Don't worry about it. Let them do what they got to do. You gonna make it through this. I was so scared. I was so scared. And I told my children, and they was worried too, but I kept telling my children, don't worry about it. Leave it in God's hand. God said, I'm going to be good. I'm going to make it through this. He kept telling me, don't worry about it. You're going to make it through this. You're going to make it through this. I got you. That's what he told me. I got you. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Don't worry about it. Just let them do what they got to do. You're going to come out there. You're going to come through this in flying colors. You ain't going to have to worry about nothing. So when they had did the surgery, and my family was up there so long that the people in the hospital was so tired of looking at my family that my family was just in there, just like talking and whatever. And they was like, oh my family told me that they were saying like, oh my God, do y'all you really have to be here? And they told me, yeah, because my mother is here, so I'm here for my mother, and I'm gonna stay here. I'm not leaving until I know that my mother is okay. So my children, they did not leave; they stayed. So, um, after the surgery, and I came out of it, and they told me that everything was fine, that they got everything out of they got the cancer, they took it out, and that I was okay. But they told me that I would have to do, um, I would have had to do the, they wanted me to take these pills for your cancer. They give you some kind of pills that they want you to take. So they wanted me to take the pills, and they wanted me to do the radiation. But I decided not to do the radiation. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. Because God told me not to do the radiation. Because the radiation ain't going to do that but make you sick more and make your hair fall out and, go through more crisis. So they told me, no, God told me, no, do not do that. So I didn't take the radiation. And I was about to take the medication. So God told me, do not take the medication. So I did not take the medication. I pinned it on God through all of this. I pinned it on him through all of this. And I did not take the medication. And right now today, I am doing good. When I went back for my checkup, the doctors told me that everything was gone, that I came out of this through flying colors, that I don't have cancer anymore. And I was so happy. I was so, so happy. But they tried to get me to do the radiation, but I would not do it. They wanted me to take the medication, but I would not take it because I kept telling them, no, I'm not going to do something that the Lord don't want me to do, because I put him first. I put God, Jesus, and the Holy Ghost first in my life. So whatever they tell me to do, that's what I do. So I follow the Lord and the Holy Ghost and Father. When they tell me not to do something I don't supposed to do, I don't do it. So when you walk by faith and not by sight, that's when you know things change for the better in your life. That's when you know things change. And I am so grateful and thankful for that he did this for me. Yes, he did this for me, and I am so grateful and thankful that he did that. And that's the truth. I was like, oh my God, because he talked to me. His voice, I heard his voice. He talked to me. And I was so surprised when he talked to me, because he talked to me one time when I was living with my husband. So I'm off this conversation into another one. So when I was married and living with my husband and my children, one day God came to me. I was laying upstairs in my room, and I was laying in the bed. So God came to me and he said, Phyllis, that's my name, Phyllis. So he said, Phyllis, I want you to take your grandchildren to the circus. I said, huh? He said, I want you to take your grandchildren to the circus. So I was so excited, and I ran downstairs and I told my husband, I said, God told me to take the kids to the circus. And he said, what? I said, yes, God told me to take them to the circus. So I'm about to take my grandkids to the circus. All of a sudden, things just start acting up in the house. My water heater had got a hole in it where we couldn't take baths because the water heater had got damaged, and I couldn't take the children because we couldn't take a shower or a bath because the water heater had got tore up. And I was so angry because this is what God wanted me to do, and I couldn't do that. And it was so, the point is that I was so grateful to hear his voice, to literally hear him tell me to do this. Like, I was so blown away that I heard his voice. I was like, oh Lord. And his voice was so sweet, soft. And I was like, wow. I was not scared of nothing. I was not scared at all. I was blown away to even hear him tell me to do that. And it was just a little minor thing that he told me to do. But I did it anyway, you know. I was glad to hear it. I was glad to hear his voice. I was so happy that he said that. You know, I was like, oh Lord, I was blown away. I was blown away. Yes, I was blown away. I was blown away. But this is another story that I have to tell y'all that happened to me, that I know God chose me. After I had fell out the window and they recovered me, as I started getting older, like 9 and 10 years old, I used to see what you call that? Caskets on the wall. I used to see when people gonna pass away. I used to see caskets on the wall when I knew somebody was gonna pass away. I just used to see the spirits. They would come to me. The spirits would come to me, but I would never hear their voices. I couldn't hear their voices back then. I couldn't hear their voices. But they would come to me and they would let me know when somebody is about to pass away. And I always knew that somebody was going to pass away. I don't know how I knew it, but I knew it. So one day I had was laying next to my grandmother, my father's mother. And I looked at her. And when I looked at her, I saw death in her. So I knew she was going to pass away. But I didn't tell my grandmother that. I just kept it to myself. So like a couple of months later, my grandmother passed away. And I told my mama that I knew that she was going to pass away. And, you know, my mama was like, wow, how did you know that? I said, I don't know. I just felt it. I just knew that she was going to go. I just knew it. I just know when people going to pass. Like my husband's niece was being so, like, she was doing so much things in her life that she shouldn't have done. And I used to tell her that she need to stop living a hard life, because this hard life is going to take her off earth. But you know how sometimes when you tell people something, they listen, but they don't listen. And you only trying to let them know that things can happen that they can't change. And sometimes it goes like this. When you do tell people the truth and they don't want to hear it, maybe their time is up. Because if they don't want to listen to what you're going to tell them, then maybe their time is up. Because when I told her not to live the life she's living, one day she was in a car with some man, with some dude, and they was running from the police in the car, and the car hit a wall. But the crazy part about it, it hit a church. It hit a church. The wall, the car hit the church. And when that car hit that church, it blew up. While she was in the car, it blew up. And the crazy part about it, when the car blew up and they had her funeral, they showed her in the casket. But she, you know, you can recognize her, but you couldn't recognize her. You know that was not her in that casket. You just know that it was a body in the casket, but it wasn't her, because it didn't look like her at all. And the crazy part about it, she should have been where you couldn't even recognize her, period. but you can recognize her a little in there, but you knew it wasn't her. That's the crazy part about it. So when that car blew up, you still can recognize her in the casket. When you shouldn't have even been able to recognize her. She should have just been burned as a crisp where you couldn't even notice who she was. But yes, they fixed her up so nice in that funeral home that you can tell that was her a little bit in that casket. A little bit. And she came to me. She came to me. And this was the first time. This wasn't the first time that people come to me. This was the time when she came to me. And I was so scared. She came to me. I'm in my room with my door shut. She rattling in my door. She trying to open my door. My bedroom door. She trying to open it, but she couldn't open it. So she kept rattling the door, kept rattling it, but she couldn't open it. She couldn't open the door. So when she couldn't open the door, I guess she just left. She just walked away. And I didn't feel nothing else no more, because I know when the spirit is coming to me, because I can feel them around me. I can feel the way my house just started looking different. It looked different, and I know that's when they coming. And sometimes when they used to come to me, they'll come to me and they will want to know where they're supposed to go, because they don't know if they're supposed to go to hell or go to heaven. And I didn't know what to tell them, so I used to just tell them, you know what, just follow that light right there. You see that light up there? Just follow it. So I used to tell them to just follow the light. Just follow the light, because I didn't know what else to tell them. So one day, my son's father, my oldest son's father, his grandfather had passed away. So his grandmother had moved from where we were staying at. She moved, and he was trying to find her, but he couldn't. So he came to me and he asked me, where was she at? And I told him, I don't know where she at, but I can try to find her for you. And when I told him that, he left. So I called my son and told him that his grandfather is looking for his grandmother. And so I told him to give me her number so I can call her. So he gave me the number. And when he gave me the number, I called her. So she picked up the phone. So I told her, I said, Miss Fletcher, Mr. Fletcher is looking for you. And she said, I know he is. I said, how you know that? And she said, because I feel him trying to come to me. I said, so yeah, he's trying to come to you. So because he came to me to try to get to you. So what do you want me to tell him? So she told me to tell him that she would see him at the burial ground. That she would come to see him at his burial ground. So I told her, okay, I would tell him that. So a couple of days later, he came back to me. And I told him, I said, so Mr. Fletcher, Miss Fletcher told me to let you know that she said she will see you in the burial ground where you buried at. And he said, okay. And when he said that, I didn't see him no more. That was it. That was the last time I heard him. He did not come back to me no more. Because he was constantly kept coming to me, trying to get me to get to her. And I finally did it. And when I did, he didn't come back to me no more. And then I had talked to her and I asked her, did she go see him? And she told me yes, that she went to see him. And that's when I know that everything was fine, because he didn't come back to me no more. So that was the update of everything that tell the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. That's what I did. So if y'all like to come back and hear more stories about the truth and nothing but the truth, I am grateful and thankful for y'all to come back and listen to me again. I would love that. Till next time, I will see y'all again. Stay safe, be blessed, and God always, always watching over you. Till then, have a good day. Love you all. Thank you.